So I would describe our garden as the Southwest cottage. So I really love cottage gardens. Just love all of the flowers. Carlos tends to be more of the cacti enthusiast. Hi, I'm Ashley Nava-Monteros.
And I'm Carlos Monteros.
We bought this house back in November 2020. When we moved in, it was nothing but turf, right? Greater build turf.
Yeah, Bermuda grass.
After the big freeze is when we really just started working on it. The backyard was originally on a slope, so we saw that slope as an opportunity to really just play with the way that the water runs, play with different kinds of plants that we could have, being that we are on blackland prairie and on heavy clay soil. It's either wet and heavy or dry and you can't get through it.
It's all cracked, yeah.
Yeah.
It almost separates, right?
Yeah.
The limestone creates the border.
I love the limestone, I love the orange and just the white and how it really makes the flowers pop.
So we gradually started peeling away the grass from that corner all the way to this corner. I wanted to establish the bigger stuff first, right? So I put the trees, put maybe like one tree on each corner.
Originally, there was 2 huizaches until we watched an episode of Central Texas Gardener and we learned about girdling roots.
Yeah.
And Carlos went to work, discovered that both plants had girdling roots. Unfortunately, this one did not survive.
The more drought tolerant stuff are at the top. And then gradually, I wanted to put the plants that tolerate more of the wet feet
closer
more at
to
the
bottom. It's so funny because we've had friends come over and they're like, oh my God, how much did this cost you? And not a lot. Because all of the limestone we've sourced from behind where the tree is at. We would grab some of there was just so many rocks there. We'd get it, we'd throw them over the fence. That was a journey, that was an endeavor. There's people always giving out free material all the time. All it takes is a little imagination.
I'm just trying to figure out what works best with the materials that I have available, without breaking the bank.
A lot of this garden has been inspired by CTG. That's where we discovered a lot of the plants that are native to this region are more adaptable and tend to be more drought tolerant. And so it's just been a whole process of learning about different plants, going to the nursery, checking them out, and then just figuring out, okay, where can we place them?
My intention is to have a garden to where it's minimal upkeep. And it's also paying respects to the plants and the wildlife that were already here before we got here.
The Mealy Blue Sage had so many bumblebees throughout the summer. The birds, the bees, the butterflies come in, and just seeing how minimal effort it took in some ways, right? I mean, just having a bird bath, having a bird feeder, and having the plants and just kind of creating that habitat, right? And I think that's part of the reason why we have such a productive vegetable garden too, is because of the pollinators. We have so many chiles and tomatoes and squash. You give them a little something, then they give you a little something back. We were growing Mexican squash or calabacitas because we're big calabacita fans, anything. Again, something that just reminds us of home. We would make quesadillas with the flowers, right? You just kind of fry them up a little bit with some onion and garlic and make delicious quesadillas. We found that planting marigolds really kept the pest away.
Another thing that we wanted to do is get rid of as much grass as possible. So I think that's why we started doing the islands, because that island wasn't as big maybe a couple of months ago. We made the island bigger because that's a Mexican buckeye.
Copper Canyon, we didn't know how big it was going to be. It really just kind of took off and did its own thing, and we're like, okay, so I guess you need a dedicated spot. The wheelbarrow we found in the side of the road. Carlos likes to go for jogs, and he called me and he was like, "Hey, there's a little wheelbarrow here. Do you want me to go and get it?" I'm like, "Yes." We went ahead and just kind of put little different kinds of cacti and agaves in there, and added some friends too. That Carlos's mom likes to get these little figurines from Juarez. And then when he went to Guadalajara with his mom, he came back with a tequila plant, which is his baby. He's always having to bring it in whenever he sees the temperatures are starting to drop. He likes to collect cacti and agaves from different areas. So we're originally from El Paso, and you know, he'll see a cacti and he'll pull a little paddle.
I also carry a knife with me. Like it's a habit because I was in the Navy, so like it's always good to have a multi-tool or a knife. And I just, you know, I cut off a paddle and then let it dry, and you know, I have a new plant after that. So I usually get something with that's a little bit more tender, but this is a good. And then I just twist it off. This nopal, I actually got it from a Mexican supermarket. If you want to, I just got it from a Mexican supermarket. You just let it dry for maybe a couple of weeks and you put it in dirt, and that's what I got. And then how you harvest it is you just start going like that. You see that? But my knife isn't as sharp. I like to eat nopales with eggs. Super good. You can either saute them or boil them as well. You can actually make a nopalito salad, and it's super easy. So that's what I basically do. And then the other side, and then just clean it, just rinse it, and basically eat it after you boil it. You can even eat it raw, honestly. So we come from Central Paso, and specifically our neighborhood, there's maybe 5-6 virgin murals within a 1 mile radius. So I think it was important for us to put the Virgin, it's kind of like a calling from back home. And then, you know, she's a matriarch of not just a nation, but she's a matriarch of the people. And I always like the idea of like the roses growing close by the Virgin. The whole myth of Guadalupe, Juan Diego brings roses to like the Bishop of Mexico. And then supposedly that roses don't grow, Castilian roses don't grow in Mexico, but he brought the bishop those roses to prove that he did see the Virgin Mary. So basically, I really like myth. I really like marrying myth and into the garden, and that's why I like growing a lot of plants, because there's a lot of symbolism behind a lot of them.
And then the gate was actually his dad's gate, right? Garden gate.
Yeah, so my mom was, you know how mothers are. They're always renovating homes and stuff. So my mom got rid of the gate, and the gate has my dad's initials. So so I told her to save it for me so I can have it.
I never thought that I would experience such beauty in my life, and that, you know, that we've been co-producers of it, you know, and it's really been just kind of co-creating with nature, and it's just been so much fun. If
you really want to express yourself, right, artistically, I think gardening there's so much depth in gardening, because there's smell, there's color, there's seasons. So it's the most rewarding expression of oneself, if you ask me.